Long before Japan became known for its peaceful temples, before the silence of Zen gardens, before the elegance of the tea ceremony, before the discipline of the samurai, and long before ideas like Kaizen, Wabi-sabi, or Mono no Aware quietly inspired the modern world, Japan was a land where every mountain breathed, every river listened, and every ancient tree was believed to possess a spirit. The people who lived there didn't build grand philosophies, they simply lived beside nature. Then, across the sea, a new way of seeing the world arrived. It didn't erase the old beliefs, it challenged them, questioned them, and eventually it transformed them. The meeting of these two worlds would create one of history's most extraordinary civilizations. A civilization that didn't seek to conquer nature, but to live in harmony with it. This is the story of Zen and Shinto, and the hidden philosophy that still shapes Japan today.
Chapter 1. Before there was Japan. More than 2,000 years ago, there was no Japan as we know it today. No towering castles, no quiet Zen temples, no samurai walking beneath cherry blossoms. Only forests so dense that sunlight struggled to touch the earth. Volcanoes that reminded people how small they really were. Rivers that carved their own paths through mountains without asking permission. And islands surrounded by an ocean both generous and terrifying. Life here was unpredictable. A single storm could destroy an entire harvest. An earthquake could reshape the land overnight. The sea that provided food one day could take lives the next. Without modern science, people searched for meaning in the only place they could, nature itself. When the wind whispered through bamboo forests, they believed something was speaking. When lightning split the sky, they believed it carried intention. When cherry blossoms bloomed for only a few brief days, they saw more than flowers. They saw a reminder that beauty and impermanence had always walked together. Slowly, a belief began to grow. Not inside books, not inside palaces, but inside the hearts of ordinary people. The world wasn't empty, it was alive. Every mountain, every waterfall, every ancient cedar, every stone that witnessed generations pass, all of them carried something sacred. The Japanese would eventually call these unseen presences kami. Not gods in the way many religions describe them, but living spiritual presences woven into the natural world. This simple belief would become the foundation of everything that followed. Not only a religion, but an entirely different way of understanding what it meant to be human. Because if nature itself was sacred, then perhaps humanity's greatest task was never to rule over it, but to belong within it.
Chapter 2. The spirits that lived in nature. As generations passed, the people of these islands began to notice something extraordinary. The world around them was alive. Not alive in the way we understand today, but alive with a presence they could feel, even if they could never explain it. A towering cedar tree that had stood for hundreds of years was never seen as ordinary.
a waterfall crashing endlessly into a quiet valley, was more than flowing water. A mountain hidden beneath clouds was more than rock and earth. These places inspired something deeper than admiration. They inspired reverence. The people believed that unseen sacred presences lived within the natural world, not because they feared nature, but because they respected it. These sacred presences would eventually become known as kami. Today, kami is often translated simply as God, but that translation misses something important. Kami was never imagined as a distant ruler watching over humanity from the heavens. Kami was much closer than that. It could dwell within an ancient tree, a river that had nourished generations, a mountain that had stood unmoved for thousands of years. Even a remarkable person whose life brought peace, courage, or wisdom to others could one day be remembered as kami. In ancient Japan, the sacred was never separated from everyday life. When farmers planted rice, they thanked the spirits of the land. When fishermen sailed into uncertain waters, they offered prayers before leaving the shore. When a child was born or a new home was built, people paused to honor the unseen forces they believed had made those blessings possible. Respect came before possession. Gratitude came before ambition. Harmony came before control. This simple way of living shaped every part of society, not through commandments, not through fear, but through quiet understanding. If every mountain held a spirit, you would never destroy it carelessly. If every river was sacred, you would never pollute it without thought. Nature was not a resource to be conquered. It was a relationship to be protected. This quiet belief became the heart of what the world would later call Shinto. Not a religion founded by a single prophet, not a philosophy written by a single thinker, but a way of life slowly shaped by countless generations who found the divine in the forests, the rivers, the wind, and the silence between them. For centuries, this way of seeing the world was enough. But beyond the sea, another philosophy had already begun its journey toward Japan. A philosophy that would not replace the old beliefs, but challenge them and forever change the course of Japanese history. Chapter 3: When Buddhism Crossed the Sea. For hundreds of years, the people of Japan lived in quiet harmony with the world around them. The forests were sacred, the mountains were honored, the rivers were treated with gratitude. Life moved to the rhythm of the seasons, and for a long time, that was enough. But history has a way of carrying ideas across oceans. Nearly 3,000 miles away, another philosophy was changing the lives of millions. It had begun in ancient India, when a prince named Siddhartha Gautama abandoned a life of luxury in search of a deeper truth. After years of meditation, reflection, and hardship, he became known as the Buddha. His teachings spread far beyond India, crossing mountains, deserts, kingdoms, reaching China, where they blended with ancient Chinese thought, then Korea, where kings and scholars embraced this new wisdom, and finally, during the 6th century, those teachings reached the shores of Japan. They did not arrive with soldiers. They did not arrive through conquest. They arrived as gifts. According to ancient records, the Korean kingdom of Baekje sent the Japanese emperor a golden statue of the Buddha, beautiful sacred scriptures, and a message introducing a philosophy unlike anything Japan had encountered before. For the first time, the Japanese heard ideas that did not begin with rivers or mountains. They heard about suffering, about desire, about compassion, about the endless cycle of birth and death, and the possibility that every human being could awaken to a deeper understanding of life. Some were fascinated, others were deeply uneasy. If the kami had protected Japan for generations, why should anyone welcome a foreign belief? Powerful clans quickly found themselves divided. The influential Soga clan believed Buddhism could strengthen Japan and connect it to the great civilizations of Asia. But the Mononoge and Nakatomi clans strongly opposed it. They feared that abandoning the old traditions would anger the kami who had watched over the islands since ancient times. What began as a philosophical question soon became a political struggle. Temples were destroyed, statues were burned, influential families fought for power inside the imperial court. For a brief moment, it seemed impossible for these two worlds to exist together. History appeared to demand a choice, the old or the new, Shinto or Buddhism. But Japan would respond in a way that surprised even history itself. Instead of allowing one philosophy to erase the other, the Japanese slowly began asking a different question. What if truth was too vast to belong to only one path? That quiet question would become the beginning of one of the most remarkable cultural transformations the world has ever witnessed.
Chapter 4: The Birth of Zen. As Buddhism spread across Japan, its temples grew larger, its scriptures became more numerous, its rituals more elaborate. Monks devoted years to studying sacred texts. Scholars debated the meaning of every word. Kings built magnificent temples to honor the Buddha. Yet beneath all this beauty, a simple question remained. Could wisdom truly be found inside books alone? Centuries later, that question would give rise to a new way of seeing the world. Its roots stretched back to China, where Buddhism had quietly encountered another ancient philosophy, Taoism. From their meeting, a new tradition emerged. The Chinese called it Chan. It taught something both simple and revolutionary. Truth could never be fully explained. It had to be experienced. Around the 12th century, this philosophy crossed the sea to Japan. There, it became known by a different name, Zen. Unlike many religious traditions, Zen offered no promise of secret knowledge, no complicated ceremonies, no endless arguments about philosophy. Instead, it invited people to do something surprisingly difficult. Sit, be still, watch your own mind. For Zen masters, a single moment of complete awareness was worth more than years of memorizing sacred texts. They believed that every answer people searched for had always been quietly waiting within themselves. Meditation became the heart of this practice, not as a way to escape the world, but as a way to finally see it clearly. A falling leaf, the sound of rain against a temple roof, steam rising from a bowl of tea, the silence before dawn. To most people, these were ordinary moments. To Zen, they were opportunities to awaken. Slowly, Zen began to influence every corner of Japanese life.
Artists painted with fewer brush strokes. Garden builders removed more stones than they added. Architects left empty spaces inside their buildings, believing that silence could be just as meaningful as sound. Beauty was no longer measured by how much was created, but by how much was left untouched. Yet the greatest surprise was still to come. History had expected Shinto and Buddhism to compete. Instead, the quiet simplicity of Zen began to recognize something familiar inside Japan's oldest traditions: a respect for silence, a reverence for nature, a belief that the sacred could be discovered through direct experience. Without planning it, these two ancient philosophies had already begun moving toward one another, and before long, they would become almost impossible to separate. Chapter 5: When Two Worlds Became One. History often tells the story of civilizations through wars. One kingdom defeats another. One belief replaces the next. The old disappears, and the new takes its place. Again and again, that is how history has unfolded across the world. But Japan chose a different path. As Buddhism continued to spread, something unexpected began to happen. The people who visited Buddhist temples still prayed at Shinto shrines. The monks who practiced meditation still respected the mountains, the forests, and the ancient kami that had shaped Japan long before Buddhism arrived. Rather than asking which tradition is right, the Japanese quietly asked, can both reveal different parts of the same truth? It was a question that changed everything. Slowly, without a single declaration, the boundaries between the two traditions began to soften. A Buddhist temple might stand beside a Shinto shrine. A shrine could be built within the grounds of a Buddhist monastery. Festivals blended together, ceremonies borrowed from one another. Families honored both traditions without feeling any contradiction. For centuries, this harmony became a natural part of everyday life. Many even came to believe that the kami were not separate from Buddhist wisdom, but simply different expressions of the same sacred reality. To outsiders, this seemed impossible. How could two completely different philosophies exist side by side for so long? The answer lay in something deeply Japanese. Harmony was considered more valuable than victory. Understanding was more important than proving someone else wrong. The goal was never to erase one path, but to allow both paths to deepen each other. Shinto continued to remind people that the sacred could be found in the natural world. Zen gently taught that the same sacredness could also be discovered within the human heart. One looked outward, the other looked inward. Together, they completed a picture that neither could have created alone. This quiet union shaped more than religion. It shaped Japan's way of building its gardens, designing its homes, performing its tea ceremonies, practicing its martial arts, and even understanding silence itself. Without realizing it, Japan was creating a culture unlike any the world had ever seen. A culture where nature and meditation, tradition and simplicity, the outer world and the inner self could exist in perfect balance. and nowhere would that balance become more visible than in the lives of the warriors who would soon define an entire era, the samurai.
Chapter 6: The Samurai and the Philosophy of Silence. When people hear the word samurai, they often imagine fearless warriors, men dressed in shining armor, swords drawn beneath falling cherry blossoms, masters of combat, bound by honor. But few realize that the greatest battle a samurai ever fought was not against an enemy, it was against himself. By the 12th century, Japan had entered an age of constant conflict. Powerful clans fought for control of the nation. Wars lasted for years. Every sunrise could become a soldier's last. For a samurai, death was never a distant possibility. It walked beside him every single day. Living under such uncertainty changed the way these warriors thought. Skill with a sword was important, but a restless mind could lose a battle before the first strike was ever made. It was during this time that many samurai found themselves drawn toward Zen, not because Zen promised victory, but because it taught something even more valuable: presence. A Zen master once said, "The moment you begin fearing defeat, you have already left the present." For a warrior, those words could mean the difference between life and death. Meditation became part of daily training. Before learning to master an opponent, a samurai first learned to master his own mind, to sit in complete silence, to observe fear without running from it, to remain calm even when chaos surrounded him. Slowly, Zen transformed more than the battlefield. It transformed the warrior himself. The sword became more than a weapon. It became a symbol of discipline. Every movement demanded complete awareness. Every breath carried intention. Every decision required absolute clarity. The greatest victory was not defeating another person. It was refusing to be controlled by anger, ego, or fear. This philosophy would eventually shape what became known as Bushido, the way of the warrior, a code built upon courage, respect, discipline, loyalty, and self-control. Yet even these legendary warriors never forgot the older wisdom that had existed long before them. Before entering battle, many samurai still stopped at Shinto shrines. They still bowed before the kami, still prayed beneath ancient trees, still believed that nature itself deserved reverence. The warrior carried Zen within his mind and Shinto within his heart. Together, these two philosophies created not only stronger soldiers, but wiser human beings. And as centuries passed, their influence spread far beyond castles and battlefields, quietly shaping the everyday life of an entire nation. Chapter 7: The Philosophy Hidden in Everyday Japan. The influence of Zen and Shinto was never meant to remain inside temples or shrines, or the lives of monks and samurai. Slowly, almost unnoticed, these philosophies began to shape the ordinary moments of everyday life. Walk through a traditional Japanese home, and you will notice something unusual. There is very little inside. Empty spaces, natural wood, paper walls that allow soft light to pass through. To some, it may seem incomplete, but to the Japanese, emptiness was never something to fear, it was something to appreciate.
because an empty space allows the mind to breathe. The same quiet philosophy appeared in Japanese gardens. Unlike the grand gardens of Europe, they were not created to display wealth. Every stone had a purpose. Every tree was carefully placed. Every ripple in the sand represented flowing water. Nothing was excessive. Nothing demanded attention. Beauty emerged through balance. The tea ceremony followed the same path. Preparing a simple bowl of tea could take many careful movements, each one slow, each one intentional. It was never just about drinking tea. It was about giving complete attention to a single moment. For a short while, there was nowhere else to be, nothing else to achieve, only the quiet beauty of the present. Even Japanese craftsmanship reflected these values. A carpenter would spend years perfecting a single skill. A potter accepted that tiny imperfections made each bowl unique. A gardener understood that nature should never be forced into perfect symmetry. The goal was never perfection. The goal was harmony. Over the centuries, these quiet ideas became part of Japan's cultural identity. Without realizing it, they gave birth to philosophies that the modern world would later admire. Kaizen, the belief that small improvements create extraordinary change. Wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection and impermanence. Mono no aware, recognizing that life's fleeting moments are precious because they never last. Shibui, discovering elegance through simplicity. None of these ideas appeared out of nowhere. They were the branches of roots planted centuries earlier, roots nourished by Shinto's reverence for nature and Zen's devotion to awareness. What the world now celebrates as uniquely Japanese wisdom was never a collection of separate philosophies. It was one quiet tradition expressing itself in many different forms. And even today, if you look closely, those ancient roots are still alive, hidden inside the smallest moments of everyday Japan.
History often leaves us with dates, names, battles, kings, empires. But sometimes, history leaves us with something far more valuable, a way of seeing the world. For thousands of years, the people of Japan quietly believed that every mountain deserved respect, every river deserved gratitude, every changing season carried a lesson, and every ordinary moment held the possibility of becoming something sacred. Then Zen arrived, not to erase those beliefs, but to deepen them. One philosophy taught people to listen to the world around them. The other taught them to listen to the silence within themselves. Together, they created something extraordinary. A culture where a simple cup of tea became a meditation, where a garden became a philosophy, where silence spoke louder than words, and where true strength was measured not by power, but by harmony. Perhaps that is why these ideas have survived for centuries, because they were never only meant for Japan. They were always meant for anyone searching for a quieter, more meaningful way to live. Today, our world moves faster than ever before. We measure success by how much we own, how busy we are, and how quickly we move from one goal to the next. Yet the wisdom of Zen and Shinto gently asks a different question. What if the life you've been searching for isn't waiting somewhere in the future? What if it has been quietly surrounding you all along?
in the morning sunlight that enters your window, in the sound of rain against the glass, in the tree that has stood outside your home for years without asking for your attention, in the people you love who won't be beside you forever. Perhaps the greatest lesson these ancient philosophies offer us is not to escape the modern world, but to move through it with greater awareness, to take only what we need, to protect what cannot be replaced, to find beauty in simplicity, and to remember that we are not separate from nature, we are part of it. Long before Japan became a nation known for its technology, its cities, or its innovation, it learned something much more important, that peace cannot be built by changing the world alone. It begins by changing the way we see it. Maybe that is why the forests still feel sacred, why temple bells still echo through quiet valleys, why cherry blossoms still stop millions of people in their tracks every spring, and why the wisdom born thousands of years ago continues to inspire hearts across the world today. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the origins of Japan's most enduring philosophies. If this story changed the way you see the world, then perhaps its journey is only just beginning. Until next time, keep looking closely, because history is never truly behind us. Sometimes it is quietly living all around us. Chapter 9: The Philosophy That Changed the World. For centuries, the wisdom of Zen and Shinto remained quietly rooted within Japan. It did not seek to conquer nations. It did not send armies across continents. It did not demand that the world follow its beliefs. It simply existed, waiting to be discovered. Then, the world came to Japan. During the 19th century, as Japan opened its doors after centuries of isolation, travelers, artists, writers, and philosophers encountered something they had never seen before. They expected to find another nation. Instead, they discovered an entirely different way of looking at life. They saw temples built to blend with forests instead of dominating them. They saw gardens where empty space carried as much meaning as stone. They watched tea masters spend years perfecting the simple act of preparing a single bowl of tea. And they noticed something unusual about the Japanese people themselves. There was a quiet respect for nature, for craftsmanship, for patience, for silence. These ideas slowly began to travel beyond Japan. Artists in Europe studied Japanese paintings. Architects admired the balance and simplicity of traditional homes. Philosophers became fascinated by Zen. Psychologists explored the practice of meditation. Designers embraced the beauty of minimalism. What had once been the quiet wisdom of a small island nation was beginning to inspire the entire world. Today, its influence is everywhere. When someone chooses quality over excess, they unknowingly echo Shibui. When a business improves itself with small daily changes, it reflects the spirit of Kaizen. When people repair broken pottery with gold, they celebrate kintsugi. When someone pauses to
Chapter 10: The Ancient Wisdom Still Living Today. More than 2,000 years have passed since the first people of Japan looked upon a mountain and believed it was more than stone. Empires have risen, wars have been fought,
Technology has transformed the world in ways those early generations could never have imagined. Japan became one of the most advanced nations on Earth. Its cities now glow with neon lights. Bullet trains race across the countryside at incredible speeds. Robots assist in factories. Artificial intelligence shapes the future. Yet, beneath all this progress, something ancient still remains. Walk through Kyoto before sunrise, and you will still hear the quiet echo of temple bells. Visit a small village during spring, and families still gather beneath blooming cherry blossoms, not simply to admire their beauty, but to celebrate the fleeting nature of life itself. Step inside a traditional home, and you will still find
History often leaves us with dates, names, battles, kings, empires. But sometimes history leaves us with something far more valuable, a way of seeing the world. For thousands of years, the people of Japan quietly believed that every mountain deserved respect, every river deserved gratitude, every changing season carried a lesson, and every ordinary moment held the possibility of becoming something sacred. Then Zen arrived, not to erase those beliefs, but to deepen them. One philosophy taught people to listen to the world around them. The other taught them to listen to the silence within themselves. Together, they created something extraordinary. A culture where a simple cup of tea became a meditation, where a garden became a philosophy, where silence spoke louder than words, and where true strength was measured not by power, but by harmony. Perhaps that is why these ideas have survived for centuries, because they were never only meant for Japan. They were always meant for anyone searching for a quieter, more meaningful way to live. Today, our world moves faster than ever before. We measure success by how much we own, how busy we are, and how quickly we move from one goal to the next. Yet the wisdom of Zen and Shinto gently asks a different question. What if the life you've been searching for isn't waiting somewhere in the future? What if it has been quietly surrounding you all along? In the morning sunlight that enters your window, in the sound of rain against the glass, in the tree that has stood outside your home for years without asking for your attention, in the people you love who won't be beside you forever. Perhaps the greatest lesson these ancient philosophies offer us is not to escape the modern world, but to move through it with greater awareness, to take only what we need, to protect what cannot be replaced, to find beauty in simplicity, and to remember that we are not separate from nature, we are part of it. Long before Japan became a nation known for its technology, its cities, or its innovation, it learned something much more important, that peace cannot be built by changing the world alone. It begins by changing the way we see it. Maybe that is why the forests still feel sacred, why temple bells still echo through quiet valleys, why cherry blossoms still stop millions of people in their tracks every spring, and why the wisdom born thousands of years ago continues to inspire hearts across the world today. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the origins of Japan's most enduring philosophies. If this story changed the way you see the world, then perhaps its journey is only just beginning. Until next time, keep looking closely, because history is never truly behind us. Sometimes it is quietly living all around us.